We're rolling through the Achilles heels from all the playoff teams from a year ago. Now we're up with the conference runner-ups, starting with the Washington Commanders. Kyle, they did a big time offseason overhaul, a lot of new faces. But what would you say is their Achilles heel still?
Well, if there's a writer's strike, their storybook, season won't get an opportunity to repeat itself. Look, I mean, make no mistake about it. Jaden Daniels is fantastic. This football team will get better. He will get better. But I still have some suspicions about their ability to get home with four defenders, with those front four defenders on the defensive line. What we saw last year from Dan Quinn's unit is a lot of I don't want to say exotic, but these one-off pressures that involve some off-ball linebackers being involved in the rush plan, double A mugs, a lot of twists. It leaves you open for some stuff on the back end. So you'd like to have those linebackers allocated in the secondary so you can just win with the front four. We saw that with the Philadelphia Eagles. That's the reason they're so dominant. You look around the league, the best defenses win with four. It affords them so many more things they can do on the back end.
Yeah, I'm right there with you that it starts and ends with this defense. I don't think anyone looking at this offense with adding Debo Samuel, with adding Laramie Tunsil, hopefully retaining Terry McLaurin. We'll see what happens with that. But I don't think anyone expects that unit to take any sort of a step back. If anything, they could even be better this year with Jane Daniels in year two. But the defense has a lot of turnover. I'm not sure it got a lot better, though. And I'm looking at the defensive line too, where not only do I wonder how they rush the passer without blitzing and leaving themselves open on the back end, but how do they stop the run? Because the additions they made, I mean, you lose Jonathan Allen, you swap him out for Javon Kinlaw. That's a lateral move, if not a downgrade at best. You add Von Miller. At this age, he doesn't care about stopping the run whatsoever. He just wants to rack up more sacks for his Hall of Fame candidacy. Eddie Goldman, Dietrich Wise, not really needle movers. Those guys are backups to, play a certain role. I'm not sure they're really shoring up your run defense. You were the only team last year in the bottom 12 run defenses in EPA per play that made the playoffs. All of the other 11 did not make the playoffs. Teams like the 49ers, teams like the Bengals, teams like the Cowboys, good teams, couldn't stop the run. Well, guess what? They're home in January. If that's still the case, if they don't shore up their run defense woes and they're having to blitz every third down, you can only rely on Jaden Daniels in this offense so much. At some point, that front seven's got to play a lot better against the run.
Yeah, there's only so many, I hate to use it again, magic storybook ways that you win
Yep.
football games. And more often than not, these games are decided by 7 points. I would be willing to bet that that defensive front seven, front four in particular, specifically, is going to be the reason that they're losing some of these one-score games.
I will say, if there's silver lining, just to give some hope that this turns around from last year, Johnny Newton, your second round defensive tackle, he was a rookie going into year two. If he takes a big leap, obviously, like rookie DT, one of the hardest positions to translate early on. Basically, the strongest guy you'll ever face in college is the guy you face every single down in the NFL. So it's just a different sort of level of physicality that you have to face. Maybe he takes a big jump. Maybe they don't have to put as many resources on the back end. If the secondary is better in coverage, they can dedicate more resources to the box, play the run a little bit better. There are reasons for hope, but I think you'd be kidding yourself if you're a Commanders fan looking at what they did defensively and say, yeah, we fixed this. This is definitely going to be better this year. I think there are still big question marks for this franchise. Now let's get to the other side, get to the AFC, where the Buffalo Bills, obviously your conference runner-up a year ago. What would you say? Because they've had an Achilles heel seemingly every single year. They have not been able to get over the hump. What would it be this season?
I wrote secondary question mark, pass rush question mark. It feels like there's a lot of these pass rush teams because if you have the ability to win pass rush, if you've got good players up front, you've got so much more complexity on the back end. You can disguise better. You can have winning defensive plays as opposed to reactive defensive plays. And for the Bills, it's no different. I know a lot of people want to talk about that offensive side of the ball. But look at that guy walking out there with the red visor. I have no concerns about the offensive side of the ball. They've got an O-line. They've got a number of number two receivers, and they've got Josh Allen. Let's be honest about it. They've got a chance. Where they're going to lose out is when they can't get home on some of these fantastic quarterbacks in the AFC playoff race. You look around the AFC, it's Lamar Jackson, it's Joe Burrow, it's Patrick Mahomes. The list goes on and on and on. If you can't get home on these guys, they can run the score up like a 7-on-7 drill. So for the Buffalo Bills, they're hoping their investment in the offseason, bringing some of these players in from other teams, bringing guys in like Joey Bosa will pay off come playoff time, most importantly.
Yeah, and they drafted 3 guys in the first 4 rounds to play along that defensive line: TJ Sanders, Landon Jackson, Deion Walker. I'm not sure any of those guys really factor in. If you're hanging your hat on someone changing around your pass rushing woes, someone changing around your inability to really take over games with that front four, it is Joey Bosa. But again, you're hanging your hat on the guy who's one of the most injured defensive linemen in recent NFL history. The guy just cannot stay on the football field. The reason why the Chargers were not interested in bringing him back, despite definitely having a need in terms of rushing the passer themselves. So the Buffalo Bills, I agree that that side of the ball has the bigger worries, but I'm going to flip to the offense for my Achilles heel. I think that the lack of a pure go-to guy in the offense. Now, Josh Allen's Josh Allen. He's Superman. There's a reason he won the MVP. He can do things that other quarterbacks can't. But that's exactly why I want to pair him with a guy who can also do other things other wide receivers can't, right? Like I want a guy that combination, like it was when he had Stephon Diggs at his peak, where it's just like you have to basically scheme around that. You have to worry about that every single play, or else you're going to give up explosive plays. Josh Allen can create them outside the pocket, but they are fickle when that's the case. You can sometimes have them in a game and it looks awesome. And then sometimes when they're not there, when those big explosives aren't coming, the offense goes in the tank because third downs, who are you going to? They didn't have a guy go over 900 yards last year in this receiving core. Now, I am of the opinion that Dalton Kincaid was drafted to be that guy in the first round a few years ago. They are hoping he's that guy. But the knee issues he had last year, now extending into training camp, I'm not sure I feel comfortable at any of these receivers when it comes to a gotta have it situation actually going and getting it.
Yeah, I mean, look, you said it. They have Josh Allen. You want somebody to make this offense exponentially better, go pair him with somebody. But I thought that's who Dalton Kincaid was. And that's the big question that guys like Pete Prisco are asking. What version of Dalton Kincaid are we going to see this year? Because that could be the guy that maybe multiplies the ability of this offense, not necessarily exponentially increases it. But you bring a star receiver in, and all of a sudden Josh Allen becomes a different beast. And you look around the league, and all these great quarterbacks do have those elite receivers. It even exists in Baltimore. You and I both love Flowers. I don't think he gets the flowers he deserves. There's nobody on Josh Allen or the Buffalo Bills payroll up there that is really scratching the surface of what Zay Flowers can get accomplished week in, week out.
Yeah, 100%. And to tie a bow on the Bills and why I say the receiving core, because you mentioned the Ravens. I'll also mention the Chiefs, the teams they got to go through to get through the AFC. The Chiefs are going to punch you in the mouth of their corners. They're going to come and play press coverage. They are going to challenge your receivers game in and game out. Baltimore Ravens have one of, if not the best secondary in the NFL. And the best secondary is probably the top 3 secondaries in the entire NFL, all in the AFC, all should be in the playoffs. It's the Ravens, it's the Broncos, it's the Texans. Those 3 secondaries are going to be your playoff games. That's what you're going to have to go through. And so do they match up well against any of them with this receiving core? Not at all. Not at all, in my opinion. So that's why I'm a little bit worried about the state of it for this Buffalo Bills team.